Before we get into the video, could everyone please subscribe to my channel? Thank you so much. While accompanying my daughter to the hospital for a routine checkup for congenital heart disease, I saw my husband, who claimed to be away on a business trip. The usually forgetful man had bought his best friend's son, who had only recently given birth to a child, the toy he had long desired. Adam, this is the latest toy race car your godfather promised to give you. Aren't you happy? Her best friend chuckled from her chair. Dylan, don't spoil him too much, Adam just said casually. Why do you remember it so clearly? Watching this heartwarming scene, I lowered my gaze to my sleeping daughter. My heart filled with mixed emotions. My daughter, her father doesn't even remember her birthday. Feeling annoyed and tired, I turned off my phone and went to sleep early. When I woke up, I saw Dylan standing in front of me, unshaven and with a livid face. Helen, why didn't you tell me you were taking your daughter to the doctor? And your phone was off when I called. I've been looking for you all night. I glanced at him calmly, and suddenly I didn't want to feel wronged anymore. Dylan's voice was loud, and I was afraid of disturbing my sleeping daughter, so I pulled him out of the ward. Didn't you say you were away on a business trip these past few days? I didn't want to bother you. Dylan glanced at me guiltily. You should have told me our daughter was sick. I lower my eyes. Alice's heart condition requires monthly checkups. You don't remember, do you? It's okay. He stared at me for a few seconds, surprised. I knew I had argued with him about this many times before, making dozens of phone calls and sending hundreds of text messages at the drop of a hat. Not anymore. He looked at me with a complicated expression and waved the thermos in his hand. I just got home and cooked dinner just in time for Alice to eat. I opened the container and immediately recognized it as my best friend Emma's cooking. It's always the same. After a secret date, she'll give me a few leftovers. Without a word, I threw the whole container of leftovers into the trash. What are you doing? Dylan suddenly exploded. I put a lot of effort into this. Even if you're angry, you can't just ruin it like this. I looked at him puzzled. Why would I be angry? But several dishes contain peanuts, and Alice is severely allergic to peanuts. Don't you remember? Dylan pursed his lips. All right. I accompanied Emma and Adam to the doctor yesterday. You saw that, right? His tone was tinged with frustration. Emma is raising a child alone. It's really not easy. The three of us are such good friends. Don't be so petty. I replied perfunctorily. Yeah, I agree. Dylan's lips drooped slightly. I knew he was angry again. I didn't try to coax him anymore. I silently carried Alice into his car, and we drove in silence. When we got home, as soon as I handed Alice to the nanny, he immediately locked the bedroom door and started taking off his clothes. Honey, I've been away on a business trip. It's been a while since we've done it. You've been craving it, haven't you? I blocked his kiss with my hand. I'm very tired right now. I want to rest. Maybe next time. Dylan's face immediately fell. Helen, what do you mean you won't let me touch you? I looked at him with a complicated expression. Didn't you say it would be once a month from now on? We did it this month, don't you remember? He stared at me for a while with a gloomy expression, then slammed the door shut. I went to sleep immediately after the alarm rang. I quickly got ready and rushed out the door. Dylan had prepared a table full of dishes, but his face immediately fell. Where are you going all dressed up like that? Aren't you going to eat dinner? I looked at him strangely. You said you were going to eat less tonight. I glanced at my watch. We were almost late. He rushed up to me and demanded an explanation. What could you possibly have to say? Finish your meal first. I frowned. Even a housewife like you needs a break, right? This was an activity planned long ago. This time, I ignored his unpleasant expression and walked straight away. I didn't tell him the truth. This time, I was going to see my former boss, the queen of the New York news industry. Back then, I foolishly became a housewife for 5 years for love, giving up everything. Now I understand that women still need to be financially independent. Otherwise, they will end up with nothing. Taylor leaned back in her chair, looking me over with a half smile. I don't quite believe you. 5 years ago, I offered you so many attractive terms to keep you, yet you still resigned without hesitation to dedicate yourself to your love. I lowered my head in shame. I was young then, always thinking I could be with Dylan forever, unaware of how fickle people's hearts are. How about this? There's an interview tomorrow night. Try it for 2 months. If you can stick with it, I'll take you to New York. Okay. My eyelashes drooped. This time, it was truly time to cut ties with Dylan. When I got back, Dylan sat in the darkness, radiating an aura of menace, his eyes seeming to want to kill. Where have you been gallivanting off to? I called all your friends, and they all said you weren't there. I sighed. Why are you so angry? You and Emma often go out and stay out all night, and I haven't said anything. He suddenly looked up. Everyone says Emma and I are nothing. If we were, your family would be bankrupt, and I still wouldn't have married you. My face paled for a moment as some unpleasant memory surfaced. Realizing I'd said the wrong thing, Dylan tried to pat my head, but I slapped his hand away. I want to see my former teacher. You know my family went bankrupt, so I need to work now more than ever. He reacted strongly. You went to see Taylor, that divorced woman with 2 daughters? A middle-aged single woman? What about Alice? If you go to work, who will take care of her? I frowned. There's a nanny and you, the father. You can't just have time to take care of other people's children, right? He looked annoyed and tried to argue with me. I've already told you, Emma has had a hard life. I quickly ran into the bedroom and closed the door to shut him out. He banged on the door for a long time, and when I didn't react, he deliberately made a loud phone call. Emma's power is out. Adam's scared. I'm coming right now. Before, if he did this, I would have been very angry and confronted him. But now, I'm really not angry at all, not even a little bit. I'm leaving. He still threatened me. I opened the drawer, took out my earplugs, and went straight to sleep. When I woke up, the first thing I did was check on my daughter. She was still sleepy, her voice soft and sweet. Mommy, did you and Daddy argue yesterday? I looked at her gently. Mommy might have to go to work in another city. Will Alice go with Mommy? Mommy, are you going to divorce Daddy? The child blinked her big eyes, making it impossible for me to lie. Yes. Then Alice will stay with Mommy. My eyes welled up with tears, and I hugged my daughter tightly. My little darling. That evening, my colleagues and I set up our equipment at the designated spot on the mountain road. My former assistant came over. Sister, look, it's your husband. The man was tall and imposing, exuding confidence and an air of untamed arrogance. In the past, I would have been madly in love, but now I simply lower my gaze and said, let's get down to business. Dylan, dressed in his racing suit, held his helmet in his left hand and had his arm around Emma with his right, exuding a doting look I hadn't seen in a long time. Today I'll show you what I'm capable of. Dylan loves racing, but I'm worried about his safety and have repeatedly advised him to participate less. After I tried to persuade him so much, he stopped talking to me about racing, and I thought he had taken my advice to heart. Now it seems it was just because there was a new person in the passenger seat. He obviously saw me too, his gaze immediately sweeping over me indifferently before gently helping Emma into the passenger seat. I knew he was punishing me, blackmailing me into going back to being an obedient housewife, but I didn't care anymore. My colleague looked at me with a complicated expression. Sister, what's wrong with your husband? It's nothing, I said casually. We're getting a divorce soon. The headlights came on, and cheers erupted from the surrounding fans, including many of Emma and Dylan's fans. Emma, Dylan, a match made in heaven. But I heard Dylan has a wife. Is it inappropriate for us to shout like this? How could that be? I even saw Dylan and Emma at the hospital with a child. They have a child? Even if he has a wife, she's probably ugly. How could she compare to Emma? I smirked. No wonder Dylan never posted any photos of me on his social media. I thought it was to protect me, but it turns out he has another spouse. Suddenly, the race car drifted sharply, and due to excessive spinning, it crashed directly into the mountainside, instantly bursting into thick smoke. Come quick, let's get an exclusive shot. I grabbed my camera, squeezed into the crowd, and started snapping away at the injured people. Dylan and Emma both fell into pools of blood when they saw me rush out. Emma looked scared and guilty, while Dylan's eyes held a heartache I couldn't understand. When I finished taking photos and was about to head back to finish my draft with my equipment, Dylan's staff stopped me in hushed tones. Sister-in-law, Brother Dylan isn't feeling well right now. You should go and check on him. I glanced at them. Isn't your sister-in-law in the car? Hurry up and save her. My colleague and I were rushing to finish our article in the middle of the night, preparing an exclusive for tomorrow. My phone kept getting bombarded with messages. I glanced at it. It was Dylan. I immediately put on silent. It wasn't until I sent the manuscript for review, made myself a cup of coffee, and saw over 100 missed calls on my phone that I finally answered. Dylan immediately launched into a tirade. Helen, where have you been? Can't you see I'm injured? Why didn't you come to see me? I stirred my coffee slowly with a spoon. Weren't you taken to the hospital? I have a manuscript to finish. If it were before, I would have dropped everything and rushed to him if I heard he was injured. But now, never. Dylan was still rambling on. I don't care. Come see me right now. I want bone broth. I chuckled. Is there anything else? If not, I'm hanging up. Wait a minute. There was a pause on the other end of the line, and I could imagine his expression, probably confusion and disbelief. Then a series of rapid breaths were heard, and Dylan's voice became somewhat anxious. I can explain what happened at the race. You said you were worried about safety, so I brought Emma along. There's really nothing between us. If you want to go public, I'll just post our marriage certificate on social media. Yes, I know it's all my fault. Please don't make it public. But my attitude somehow angered him, and he started a rant. Helen, have you been spending too much time with that woman, Taylor, and lost your mind? You don't care when I'm hurt, and you don't care about Alice either. I slammed down the phone. The teacher's revision suggestions were quite long. I needed to spend some time honing my professional skills. After that day, Dylan began a one-sided Cold War with me, which lasted until Alice's birthday. I brought Alice to our favorite dessert shop, only to find Dylan sitting with Emma and Adam, and a man sitting opposite them. In the past, I would have stormed over and started fighting with them, but now I just wanted to watch the drama unfold. The two of them clearly noticed me too, becoming restless and glancing in my direction frequently. I raised an eyebrow. Had I been too offensive? I looked away and happily sang, "Happy birthday to Alice." When it came time to cut the cake, the two walked over with awkward expressions. Emma spoke first. What a coincidence, Helen. I didn't expect to see you and Alice here. Oh, by the way, today is a blind date my family arranged for me, but I already have Adam, so I asked Dylan to help me fend. I nodded to indicate that I understood. Dylan sat down beside me, forcing an awkward smile. Helen, I was just helping Emma out. You two best friends haven't seen each other in a while, have you? Catching up. I used to feel heartbroken and saddened by Emma's betrayal, but now I put on a smile. It's okay. No matter what, I wish you both the best. The waiter and everyone around them were stunned. Dylan and Emma looked like they wanted to disappear into the ground. In the end, they could only try to appease Alice. Alice, why are you eating cake today? Were you craving it? Alice wrinkled her nose. Daddy's naughty. He can't even remember Alice's birthday. And Annie doesn't. Adam has his own dad. Why does he always make my dad go and keep him company? Emma's smile froze on her face. Dylan looked at me in a panic. I'm sorry, Helen. I'll take Adam away right away. I really didn't mean to. I didn't know it was Alice's birthday today. Yes, Helen, I really didn't remember Alice's birthday. So I'll spend the rest of the day with Alice. But Adam wouldn't have it. He started crying and making a scene, and even pushed Alice. Who are you calling someone without a father? My godfather loves me the most. He even promised to take me to the amusement park today. You're the one whose father doesn't love you. Alice wasn't going to take it lying down either. She started scratching and clawing at him, but Dylan blocked her every time. Alice, you're so sweet. Don't hold it against your brother. Her eyes immediately welled up with tears, and she became emotional. I don't want Daddy anymore. You're protecting others. You're not my daddy. I want to leave with Mommy. Dylan panicked immediately, looking at me, his voice trembling. Helen, you're leaving? Where are you going? Alice's body couldn't handle such emotional fluctuations, so I quickly picked her up to calm her down before slowly denying it. I'm not going anywhere. The child misunderstood, but it's true, I need to go to work. I don't want any accidents to happen before things are settled. Really? Dylan looked suspicious. Why didn't you tell me you were going to work? And you're going with Taylor? I said helplessly, didn't you say you weren't interested in the trivial things we journalists do and told me not to tell you? Have you forgotten? He breathed a sigh of relief. Helen, Please forget about some of the things I said that were inappropriate before. You can share anything with me in the future, and I'm happy to listen." "And Alice," he said, stretching out his arms to hug his daughter, "your arms must be tired. Let me hold her." His daughter ignored him, so Dylan had to go get the car first, leaving me to hold Alice while Emma waited at the intersection with Adam by the hand. I didn't want to get involved with them, so I called a taxi using a mobile app, planning to find an excuse to slip away later. Emma approached me and cautiously inquired, "Helen, how have you been lately? How are your aunt and uncle? I'd like to visit them sometime." I looked her up and down, feeling somewhat bewildered. Yes, she used to be my best female friend, and I had once bitterly denounced her betrayal. But when I learned that she had outwardly begged for my forgiveness while secretly maintaining contact in an entangled relationship with Dylan, I immediately blacklisted her. Not wanting to cause further trouble, I maintained basic decorum and said, "No need." She poured out her grievances to Helen. "You don't know how hard I've been these past few years. I've been raising Adam all by myself. So, you just considered Dylan your husband." I didn't want to bring up the past and mock her, but her relentless chatter still annoyed me. Emma put on a remorseful expression. "Again, it's not like that. I was just thinking about our past." All right. Dylan's car just happened to drive up, and I opened the car door. "What you think is none of my business." Emma bit her lip hard, wanted to say something more, but Adam started crying again. "I don't care. I want to go to the amusement park." For a moment, Dylan and Emma hesitated. "Helen, why don't we let Alice and Adam go to the amusement park together? They'll become good friends." I was just looking for an excuse to slip away, so I immediately chimed in. "No need. Alice has a special condition and can't do anything exciting. You guys go have fun. I've already called a car." They both looked a little stunned. I closed the car door, got into the ride-hailing car, and left without paying any attention to their reactions. Sitting in the car, Alice suddenly opened her eyes and climbed onto my waist. "Mommy, did Alice say something wrong just now?" I smiled gently. "No, Alice can do whatever she wants." "Then let's not tell Daddy. Let him cry. Such a clever little thing." I affectionately touched her little nose and made a pinky promise with her. Watching the scenery flash by outside the window, I felt a long-lost sense of relief. I think this time I've truly let go. The next morning, Dylan bought roses, a cake, balloons, and other things. I looked at him questioningly. "What are you doing? Is today some important day?" His expression faltered for a moment, but he quickly broke into a smile. "It's our wedding anniversary. I even bought you a gift." I was slightly taken aback, remembering how enthusiastic I used to be about celebrating our wedding anniversaries. But every time I excitedly prepared a romantic feast, Dylan would either say he didn't remember or Emma would call him away to help Adam. "It's serious, you know that. Don't you have any empathy? What kind of crappy holiday is this?" Over time, I stopped looking forward to the day, and now I don't even remember it. Unexpectedly, Dylan, who never remembers wedding anniversaries, actually suggested celebrating it. He thought I was touched and wanted to put the sapphire necklace around my neck. I took a step back and looked up at him. "No need," I said. "I don't like these sapphire necklaces anymore. They're heavy and could easily scratch children. They're only pretty. They're not practical for me at all." I don't know if it was just my imagination, but Dylan's eyes seemed to have turned red. He quickly composed himself and turned to wash the dishes. I found it even more unbelievable because he used to yell at people if he saw a pile of dishes in the house, let alone wash them voluntarily. But I didn't say much. If he was willing to do it, then so be it. While washing the dishes, he naturally started conversation. "By the way, it's my mom's birthday in 3 days. Why don't you and Alice come with me? I've already prepared your gift." "No need," I interrupted his wishful thinking. "Your mother has never liked me. Besides, I've just started working and I'm very busy. Didn't you and Emma always go before? You should go together this year. She'll be happy." Ever since my family went bankrupt, Dylan's mother has never given me a kind look. She always thought I was the one who held her son back, and that Emma was the daughter-in-law she was satisfied with. She even cursed at Alice when she was born. It's bad enough that the family went bankrupt, but you also gave birth to a sickly, money-losing child who's no better than Emma in every way. I I really don't know what Dylan saw in you. Dylan heard all these sarcastic remarks, but when I complained to him in private, his amnesia kicked in again. Did Mom say anything like that? I don't remember. You must have misheard. But this time, Dylan said, if Mom says anything bad about you again, just talk back. I'll stand up for you, honey. I was stunned. So he remembered. How boring. I coldly rejected him. Really no need. I'm really busy with work and don't have time to go. Normally, Dylan would have gotten angry, but this time he only paused for a moment before immediately forcing a smile. Okay then, we'll wait until next time you go, but Emma will definitely be coming. Don't be jealous. He looked at me, his eyes filled with a cautious, probing gaze. I acted nonchalant, casually sitting on the sofa. It's okay, why be jealous? We grew up together. I know we need to look after each other. Dylan took a deep breath. Ellen, you can tell me anything. I'll do whatever you want me to do, but please don't overthink it. I just pity her. I heard her family treats her badly. If you don't like it, I'll cut off all contact immediately. I raised an eyebrow and glanced at him indifferently. I don't have any requests. You can go ahead. Suddenly, my phone received a message from Alice's kindergarten teacher, saying that the school would be holding a parent-child activity next week and hoped that all parents would participate. After thinking for a moment, I realized this was a good opportunity to withdraw Alice from school. So I turned around and went back to my bedroom to search for kindergarten information. Dylan was left standing forlornly in the living room, looking completely lost. Another week passed, and as I was holding Alice's hand, preparing to go to kindergarten, Dylan suddenly popped out excitedly, saying, Alice, is there an activity at kindergarten today? I want to go. I blinked in surprise. How did you know? Dylan immediately put on a fawning smile. I saw the kindergarten information on my phone and set a reminder every day. I felt a bit of absurdity. I remembered how he always looked disdainful when he received messages about Alice's kindergarten before. These trivial matters can be easily handled by linking your phone to your phone. You send me messages every day, and you do nothing at home, yet you expect me to manage even these things. I haven't mentioned anything about our daughter to him since then, but now he's shamelessly showing up to participate. Moreover, it turns out he knew how to remember important things. He wasn't naturally forgetful, nor was he completely helpless. That's why he could remember all the little things about Emma and Adam. I never expected Alice and I would get to enjoy this honor, but unfortunately, we really don't need it anymore. I smiled speechlessly, but in the end, I didn't refuse. If he found out anything, it would be really hard for Alice to quit school. When I arrived at the kindergarten, I immediately spotted Emma and Adam. The two of them stood there alone, looking out of place. I raised an eyebrow. Back when Adam enrolled, Dylan had handled the registration for him, although he wasn't in the same class as Alice. Dylan attended parent-teacher conferences very frequently. I complained to Dylan that I hoped he would attend Alice's parent-teacher conference, but he said, no one's going to Adam's. You can go to Alice's. It's enough if both of you go. Are you trying to fool us? Today, Dylan's first reaction was to try to get me to go with him. I couldn't miss this opportunity, so I eagerly pulled him over to greet the mother and son. Emma looked at me, her face showing a mixture of guilt and jealousy, and hesitated before speaking. Dylan, today is a school event. If everyone finds out Adam doesn't have a father, they'll definitely bully him. Can you help him? Dylan immediately refused. Emma, Alice needs me too. I promised to spend time with my daughter today. Emma's face immediately turned ugly. I couldn't help but laugh. It was rare to see Dylan refuse. But if he kept following me, how was I supposed to help Alice get expelled? Thanks to Emma for the help, I generously said, it's okay. You can stay with Adam. Alice isn't interested in participating, right? My daughter was quick-witted and immediately played along. Yes, Alice isn't feeling well. Mom, come with me to the infirmary. Before Dylan could respond, I grabbed Alice and ran off, leaving Emma and Dylan staring at each other in bewilderment. We didn't go to the infirmary. Instead, we went to the principal and bluntly told her we were withdrawing from the school. The principal looked a little embarrassed. Alice's mom, did you discuss the withdrawal with Dad? I immediately felt like crying and pointed to Dylan and his two friends who were having a great time on the monitor. Look, this is Alice's father. He's always been with other women and children. Neglecting Alice and me and showing no concern for this matter, I took her hand. As a woman myself, can you help me keep this a secret? The principal glanced at me angrily, then nodded firmly. After finishing my business, I felt refreshed, but then I saw Dylan and Emma standing at the kindergarten gate, looking like school children who had done something wrong. They insisted on apologizing to me. To avoid alerting them, I had the nanny pick up Alice first, and then I followed them to the restaurant. When I went inside, the room was packed with people, all childhood friends I used to know. Ever since my family went bankrupt, I was unilaterally removed from their so-called circle, and we haven't been in touch since. I just got a new lie detector at home. I brought a sample with me. Everyone should try it and see if it works. Truth flashes green, lies flash red. After saying that, he gave me a meaningful look. A smile played on my lips. So this is how they play it. Well then, don't blame me for embarrassing everyone. They jokingly passed around a few people before finally calling on me. Helen, you give it a try. Dylan feigned concern and stood in front, saying, if you want to try something, try it on me. What kind of guinea pig are you using, Helen? Show some respect. Fine. My quick agreement surprised everyone. My friend Barry first asked a few trivial questions, then abruptly changed the subject. Sister-in-law, do you still love Dylan? Dylan immediately looked at me nervously, his fingers unconsciously tightening their grip on his wine glass. Without hesitation, I replied, yes. He breathed a sigh of relief, but the machine immediately flashed a blinding red light. Dylan's face turned deathly pale, his lips trembling as if he were about to cry. Suddenly, as if he had thought of something, he asked another question. Helen, are you leaving this city? I uttered a few words expressionlessly. No. Dylan hurriedly checked the machine, and another blinding red light flashed. He suddenly broke down, frantically overturning the machine to the ground. It's definitely broken. This machine is broken. Emma was terrified and hurriedly explained to me. Helen, is it because of me? But Dylan and I really have nothing going on. I found her pitiful look utterly annoying. I gently picked up the instrument that had fallen to the ground and smiled at her. I've answered so many questions. Now it's your turn. Put this instrument on. Okay, I have nothing to hide. First is Adam's father, Dylan. Dylan turned his head quickly in disbelief. Helen, how could you look at me like that? Emma answered quickly, no. The instrument flashed green, and Dylan straightened his back a little, looking aggrieved. My smile deepened. Second, have you slept with Dylan? Emma's pupils contracted, and after a long silence, she stammered, no. Then a red light flashed, and the atmosphere froze. I looked at her mockingly and asked one last question. Did you call Dylan away repeatedly on purpose? Emma's face was pale, and her voice trembled. No, it wasn't Henri. A flash of red light illuminated her. All right, I'm done asking. I stood up casually, and Dylan immediately grabbed the machine and smashed it to pieces. Barry, what are you doing at home using this junk? I crossed my arms and looked down at him. Dylan, you don't need to blame anyone else. Everything you've done is clear now. Even if this machine is inaccurate, one of the two opposite scenarios must be true. So Adam is your biological son, or you and Emma have slept together already. You two are disgusting. Dylan's expression shattered, and he knelt before me. No, Helen, I didn't. I really didn't. I love you. Emma scrambled over to me, grabbing my trouser leg and bursting into tears. Helen, I didn't want this to happen either. We grew up together. I know how good you've been to me, but I was cheated out of my life and gave birth to Adam. That person then ran off with my family's money to cover up the shame. My parents had to say I had a single birth, but at home, they scolded me every day, saying how wonderful I was. She looked up and cried miserably. They only quieted down a bit after your family went bankrupt, but you actually found such a great man like Dylan, who has stayed by your side the whole time. So I'm jealous. Why are you living so well while I'm suffering so much? That's why I want Dylan to help me. Having sex was just a mistake made while drunk. It doesn't count. Without hesitation, I kicked her away, my face full of contempt and indifference. Emma, I really admire you for being able to say such shameless things. I straightened my sleeves, kicked her away again, and took out my phone, which was recording. From now on, disappear from my sight. Don't bother with that nonsense about sisterhood anymore. Otherwise, I won't hesitate to put this recording online and let the public judge it. And another thing, I looked sharply at Dylan, who was pleading, and produced 2 divorce papers. We're getting a divorce. Find some time to sign the papers. After that, you can go and help whomever you want. Without hesitation, Dylan's voice choked with emotion as he rushed forward and hugged me tightly. Helen, don't be so cruel. Give me another chance. Alice needs a father. I pried his fingers off one by one, expressionless. Alice told me she doesn't need a father who doesn't love her. If you're not willing to sign, prepare to be ruined. I left without a trace of emotion, leaving the 2 of them wailing and crying behind me, eventually leading to a fight. You bastard! You caused trouble outside, and I have to clean up your mess. You and your bastard should stay far away from us and never bother us again. What kind of good person are you? You married Helen, but didn't cherish her. If you hadn't been so fickle, would I have forced you to come here? The cries and the sounds of tearing continued, but I didn't even blink. I just felt incredibly happy. When I got home, I immediately changed the locks. There was a rattling sound from the lock in the middle of the night. The person fiddled with it for a while, but I couldn't open it. They left without making a scene. This surprised me. The next morning, someone knocked on the door very early. Helen, we are your mother-in-law and father-in-law. Let's talk things out calmly and not make things too ugly. I smiled slightly and opened the door. I asked the housekeeper to pour some tea and looked at Dylan's parents. What would you 2 like to say? My mother-in-law was still as arrogant as ever. Helen, I heard you and Dylan are getting a divorce. You better think this through. If you divorce, you won't have a good life. I scoffed. It's your son who cheated on me. I'll at least get half the assets. As for Alice, since I gave birth to her, your son has basically spent all his time on Adam. My current salary is at least 10 times that of your freelance son. Do you think he can win against me in terms of custody? My mother-in-law trembled with anger. How could you speak to your elders like that? The truth is hard to hear, but good medicine tastes bitter. I slammed down my teacup and looked at my father-in-law. Uncle, there's something else I think you should know. I took out the recording and played it once. Mrs. Chow immediately snatched the evidence away in a fit of rage. I just smiled and said, this is just a backup. I have many more copies. My demands are simply half of the property and custody of Alice in exchange for a good reputation for your son. It's a good deal. All right. I tapped the table and looked at my mother-in-law. Be more polite to me in the future. After all, your son is at fault. If you don't want to become a laughingstock, you need to respect me. Have your son sign the divorce papers. On the day they went to the Civil Affairs Bureau to finalize their divorce, Dylan looked haggard. Helen, give me another chance. Don't leave me, okay? Wherever you go, I'll go with you. You go and do your work. I can help take care of Alice. I promise I'll be very careful. And Emma? I've already sent her and her son abroad. Her gambling and womanizing boyfriend has come looking for her, so she can't bother us anymore. Looking at his remorseful face, I suddenly thought of my own college days. Back then, my family was wealthy, and I was the darling of everyone's attention. Dylan and I were the golden couple in everyone's eyes. I had a quiet personality, while Dylan was like a ray of warm sunshine that shone into my life. I once thought I would be happy like this forever, but then my family went bankrupt and my parents passed away. Only Dylan became a lifeline in my dark life. So I became more and more humble, trying to keep him in every way possible, resigning from my job without hesitation and completely losing myself. I've argued, I've made a scene, I felt utterly hopeless. But in the end, I realized that only I myself am my strongest support. Perhaps my current sentimentality stems from a longing for the version of myself that hadn't yet been ravaged by life. I snapped out of my daze, looked at Dylan who was standing before me, tears streaming down his face. I let out a long sigh. Dylan, don't you understand? The reason you could do whatever you wanted before was because I once loved you. But that love has long since been exhausted by your years of torment. I truly don't love you at all. I don't need you anymore. Your attempts to keep me are meaningless. Dylan slumped to the ground in despair and finally, reluctantly, signed the divorce papers, giving me all his assets. The moment he signed, I clearly saw his tears soak the paper. But this time, I simply chose to mail the divorce certificate to the new address. Will we ever see each other again? Helen asked me as we parted. Let's not see each other again. I picked up my luggage, didn't look back, and walked with my daughter toward a brighter tomorrow.